Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again, sporting a brand new Dusty Thunder t-shirt, which you can find at dustythunderswag.com, shameless plug. And I have another AITA story for you. I know, we've talked about this before, but it's so shocking how there can be still asshole stories on this planet. We haven't run out, and we never will. Title of this one is, Am I the Astronaut for blowing up at my husband for sharing pics of our daughter's birthday celebration, resulting in my family finding out about it? Guessing they weren't invited. Ever since my brother passed away at the age of 17 on his birthday, my family decided to never celebrate birthdays ever again. What? I mean, that's heavy, but what? It was mom and dad's decision, but because of how much the family loved my brother, the extended family decided to do the same and stand in agreement with this decision. So nobody gets a birthday because of a tragedy. My husband would refuse to follow this decision and kept celebrating his birthday. Good for him. Me and the family didn't say anything about it since he's not a blood relative, but when I first got pregnant, the argument about celebrating our daughter's birthdays occurred. My family advised me to just not celebrate her birthday since she's a baby and won't even remember anyway. I agreed, but my husband threw a fit and insisted that we celebrate our daughter's first birthday. I caved in eventually, but told him we'd have a small secret celebration so that my family wouldn't find out. He agreed. The next day, I got a call from my mom, and she was so upset, saying that my word meant nothing and that I had no respect for my brother's memory nor the family. I asked what she meant, and she told me she saw the birthday party pics my husband posted on social. I was too shocked to even argue. I hung up and went straight to my husband to confront him about it. He got defensive and said that he didn't need my permission to post pics and that he wanted to show his family the birthday celebration pics since I insisted we have a small secret party and exclude them. I explained to him how this made me look bad and a liar to my family, but he said they can get over it and called my mom Snoopy. Never heard of Snoopy before. I'm going to be 100% honest here. I have never heard the term Snoopy, and I'm going to have to look it up now. Timeout, Snoopy definition. How do you even pronounce this?
Snobby.
No. It was Snoopy. I'm certain of it. Maybe it was just a typo and they meant snobby. Okay. I liked Snoopy better. We're going to stick with Snoopy. I blew up at him and we had a fight about it. He started sulking later and said that I ruined the memory of our daughter's first birthday for him and verbally abused him with how I lashed out. But I solely did it out of frustration, knowing what happened caused a massive problem between me and my family. Now he's expecting an apology from me. Am I the asshole? Here's where I'm at. We don't have a lot of information about her brother, about OP's brother, when he was 17, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that her brother wasn't an absolute shit human and wouldn't want no one in the family to be able to celebrate a birthday ever again, because that's punishing everyone. And if you try hard, you can find a reason to celebrate sadness anytime you want, right? There could be an anniversary for this bad thing, for this bad thing, for this bad thing, and you can let it be that. You can let it run your life like that, but you don't have to. You don't have to. And if people are doing that by choice, that's one thing. But punishing children by depriving them of their gosh heckin' birthday because of a tragedy that occurred, and unless it was his wishes, he was 17 years old. There's no way this 17-year-old kid would be like, hey, as my last wishes, I would like for no one in the family tree ever, generations to go to ever celebrate a birthday. How is that the thing? How is that how they celebrate his life? By punishing everyone. I don't understand this at all. I don't get it, and I don't agree with punishing the child for that. Maybe it's some kind of cultural thing that I don't understand. Maybe it's some kind of religious thing that I don't understand. I know that Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate birthdays or anything like that. So, but it doesn't say that they're that. This is just a decision that was randomly made because of how much the family loved the brother. But are you really going to punish your child for that? Are you really going to punish your child because you lost your brother? That imbalance doesn't make sense to me. Now, the husband said no from the get-go. He was like, no, I'm not doing this. Not doing this. And agreed to a secret party, which sucks, and that's a concession, and I wish he had fought harder on that. But him sharing the pics afterward is essentially him fighting back on it. They've got to get to the same page on this, or it's going to be a fight for life. They've got to become a united front. They've got to do this as a team somehow, or it is going to tear them apart. But who gives in, when, and where? That's the tricky part here. Obviously, in this situation, you would like to see OP give in, and my vote right now is that OP absolutely is the asshole, and we'll figure out how big of an asshole here in a second. But my vote would be that OP needs to give in and not punish her child or children because of a tragedy that happened. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But somehow her husband is going to have to convince her to boycott this, to not institute it, because here's what's going to happen. If they force this on their child, what happens when she has children someday? You're just creating more drama and conflict and kicking the can down generations and generations and generations. And how many people are you willing to punish for this one tragedy that happened? Is that necessary to remember him? Surely not. Surely that's not the memory that he wants left behind, is everyone getting punished. Surely not. Okay, so where is OP on the ascon scale here? Let's say, as a quick reminder, ascon 4 is the least amount of asshole, and that is you could have done it differently. Ascon 3 is you should have done it differently. Ascon 2 is you definitely shouldn't have done that. And ascon 1 is the worst. You're a terrible human being. So this is for OP, and OP's specific question was, am I the asshole for blowing up at my husband for sharing pics of our daughter's birthday celebration, resulting in my family finding out about it? The question is not about the practice of denying her child a birthday. The question is, am I the asshole for blowing up at my husband for sharing pics when he wasn't supposed to and getting her in trouble? So is OP the asshole for blowing up at her hubby? OP could have a birthday party for brother. Instead of punishing everyone, how about you keep celebrating brother's birthday? That would be a great thing. Now remember, we've got two separate things to look at here. The specific question is, am I the astronaut for blowing up at my husband for sharing pics of her daughter's birthday celebration online when it's supposed to be top secret and she got in trouble? So, unless it was specifically discussed that he shouldn't post pics, but he agreed to a secret thing, so he agreed to something and then didn't honor that agreement, and in that case, I think OP is less of an asshole for it. Let's say, I'm going to go with 3 on this specific instance here because she should have done this differently. Should have created different boundaries, should have communicated it clearer, should have had more structure to this, shouldn't have ever been in this situation in the first place, which takes us back to a completely different situation, a different question. Is OP the asshole for punishing her child and denying her child a birthday? Is she the asshole for being willing to do this? Now remember, it's something that her family started when her brother was 17. We don't know how old OP was when that happened, but it was a family thing that started here. But once you get to the point where you have your own child, you have your own customs, you create your own family, right? So in this is the bigger thing for me, is OP the asshole for keeping that going? Keeping the practice going and being willing to punish your child for this tragedy that happened, keeping in mind that this is something that the family started and she was just carrying on, but being willing to do that, I think puts her into territory here. Because she definitely shouldn't have done that. There's other ways to do this, and I think when you have your own child, your job is to start advocating for that child. And this should have emboldened her to say, okay, look, I don't think my brother would have wanted this. I don't think that punishing people by taking birthdays away is how he would want to be remembered. And then bring in the other suggestion here and say, what if we started celebrating his birthday every year instead of denying everyone's birthday? That makes a hell of a lot more sense to me. And I think it puts her in ascon 2 territory here. Let me know what you think though, because this is a difficult one. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again, and I have another story for you, but this one is a Bridezilla story. That's right. Get your tiaras ready. You have to watch this video while wearing a tiara. If you have a veil, go ahead and bring it out. Ladies, if you have your old wedding dress, go ahead and put it on. Just get in the theme for it. Okay, this one is, sister is losing her mind over my hair being too long for her wedding. Can't imagine why this is in the Bridezilla subreddit. I have no ideas. So my sister is getting married soon, like a couple of months. I'm happy for her. The guy she's marrying is a cool enough person and they work well together. She asked me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding party and I accepted. Then she started listing her requirements, some understandable, like wearing longer sleeves to cover up my tattoos. I'm fine with that. But one of them was really weird and felt kind of pointed at me. Everyone in the wedding party must have shorter hair than the bride by at least 6 inches. Okay. What the hell? I need to save my thoughts for the end here, but what the hell? Now, my hair is super important to me. It's a significant part of my identity and I really love it. It's knee length and I take super good care of it. My sister's hair is to the middle of her back, so about 2 feet shorter than mine. She has longer hair than her friends aside from one who agreed to cut her hair. I did not. My sister freaked out when I said I wasn't going to cut my hair. I offered to wear it up. She said that would distract people from her and that she wanted all of her bridesmaids to wear their hair down. I assured her no one would be distracted because of my hair. Our mother agreed with me and tried to assure her as well. I offered to just be at the wedding instead of in the wedding party, and she began throwing a temper tantrum. Eventually, I just left, and we could figure this out when she calmed down. Later on, I get a call from her fiance who just says, "Hey, I know you don't want to cut your hair. I'm sorry about that. Could you just do it for your sister? It'll grow back." How this poor guy got suckered into making this phone call, I have no idea. But you know that he was just dreading. He was dreading. He's dialing a number and he's like, I can't believe I'm doing this shit. What am I even doing? What am I doing? Just, oh God, here. Okay. This is the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. Hey, hi. Oh my God. But seriously, hair down to her knees. That is commitment. And obviously I told him I'm not cutting off like half of my hair for one day just to spend years growing it all back out. He sighed, but said he understood and apologized, but my sister is still being unreasonable. I'm annoyed by the whole thing and I really don't want to deal with her shit. If she's gonna freak out about this, I worry what else she's gonna freak out about. Edit! So I got another phone call from my soon-to-be brother-in-law. He was like, hey, she hasn't stopped crying for like 30 minutes. Can you please just cut your hair? I told him no, and also said that I'd be dropping out as a bridesmaid and just going as a guest. He sighed again and basically said, yeah, I kind of figured that would happen. I'm sorry about this. At least he was nice about it, but she keeps sicking this poor man on me, LOL. Edit 2, I got a phone call from the bride herself. She was crying and said, fine, I don't have to cut my hair or be a bridesmaid, but please wear it up. So at the very least, she came to some kind of compromise. I think she was expecting me to feel bad and to come around because when I said, nope, I'll just be a guest, then she began crying harder and hung up. I hope it's over. Probably isn't. I'll probably not hear the end of this anytime soon. But at least I can hope that she's given up. Okay, put yourself in the groom's shoes for a second here, and you've got to be like, number one, the phone call thing, like we talked about. After that, when he has to call again, it's like, what in the actual f*** have I gotten myself into? Oh my God. I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to marry this person. Normally in wedding-related stories, my general take is it's the couple's day. No one gets to tell them what to do. They decide everything. It's their day. They do what they want to do. There is an obvious line where that can be an abuse of power, and when you start pushing that agenda on other people to alter their appearance for you, you're the asshole. Like, what if she had said, no bridesmaids can be taller than the bride? And someone's like, well, I'm like 6 inches taller than the bride. And you're like, you're going to have surgery. I'm sorry. We're going to have you take from your shin about, what are you, 6 inches taller? 7 inches. You have to have a height reduction surgery for the wedding because of the bride. Brozo here has to be like really taking this whole thing into consideration and thinking, is this really what I want to do? Do I really want to get myself into this? Because this kind of drama is going to happen again someday. I just don't know when or where. So we don't have an ascon scale assignment here because it's a Bridezilla thing. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Yeah, we do. OP, not the asshole at all for refusing to cut her hair. Where's the bride? Where does the bride in this story belong on the ascon scale? This guy has to be looking at this and thinking, whoa. I mean, I think there's this general approach from the groom where he expects a certain level of madness from the bride with a wedding because it's the wedding. It's like the most important princess day for her. You also see what they're capable of. And I think that's the thing for him. He has to see what she's capable of here and think, wow, either I love this woman enough to just get over that and to accept it, but now I know never to screw up because this is what she's capable of. Or he's thinking, I've never seen this side of her before and it scares the shit out of me. Bride is all the way to 1. We've got a couple 2s in here. We've got a couple of 2s in here, which she definitely shouldn't have done it. Is she a terrible human for asking someone to cut their hair 2 feet off of their hair? And I'm assuming that she knew it was part of her identity, but it was a completely selfish request. We can definitely say that. Was it a terrible human request? Look, for your wedding gift, I got you, not both of you, just you specifically, bride, a subscription to the Calm app. You might start using it. Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and make the call here. Bridezilla is at a 1. And Mr. Groom, unless you want to become Mr. Ascon 1, suggest you think long and hard about what you're getting into here. Hey there again, it's Dusty Thunder with another AITA story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for wanting my son to stop playing sports? Fake account, I 42 male, have 1 son with my ex-wife. We have been divorced for 9 years. She has full custody. I get him every other weekend. My issue is that he has played soccer and bowling for years. It has interfered with my time. He seems to have something every Saturday. I asked his mom if he could take a break. She told me if I wanted him not to play, I had to tell him. So I called my son. He's 13. I told him that playing sports is taking too much of my time. Plus, I don't like that he has broken 2 bones and countless bruises and scrapes. I'm afraid people will think he is abused. Just 2 weeks ago, he showed up with 3 cuts on his leg. When I asked his mom, she was like, who knows? He's always out and about. So after I told him, he basically said he wants to keep playing, that soccer is his favorite and bowling is fun too. He basically told me I never go anyway, so it's not a big deal. Now he is right. I never played sports, so I don't get the fun. I called his mom and said he wants to play, but I won't contribute anymore. I did say again that I don't like the idea of him playing. He has broken 2 bones. I did tell her I may consider talking to a lawyer. She laughed. Am I the asshole?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. How self-absorbed do you have to be to write this statement and not see how it's wrong? Hold on. He said, I told him that playing sports is taking too much of my time. Wow, dude. Wow. Okay. Normally when parents have kids who play sports, either you can get involved with them and really turn it into a bonding experience by helping them get better, going with them to practices, finding ways to help encourage them. But also when you go to soccer matches or games or the bowling tournaments, you're not there because you enjoy the frickin' sport. You might enjoy the sport and that would be a bonus, but you're there to cheer on your child. You're there to support your child. You're not there for you. And now I understand why she has full custody and why his son really doesn't want anything to do with him, because it's never been about the son. This guy can only think about himself and just isn't connecting the dots here and seeing how this is just completely selfish. Your child wants to keep playing sports and you don't want him to just because it takes up too much of your time. Well, guess what, dude? Your ex-wife, it takes up a lot of her time too. But I'm guessing that she isn't bitching about it because it's something that he has a passion for and she's supporting him. Wow. I was a band geek in school. I played football like in middle school, junior high, but I was a band geek. And I have my youngest boy, he has a lot of natural talent that I never did possess. And he's a football player and a damn good football player. And I love it. I love going to practice with him. I love throwing the ball out in the yard. He's into it and has this natural ability, and I can be like, heck yeah, man, how can I help you pursue that? I don't have it. I don't necessarily get it because I was never that way. I clicked in different areas, but how can I help you? How can this be an experience for us to connect better and grow together? And how can I help make this path easier for you? And you can bet your ass that every time there's a game, I'm going to be there cheering my ass off. I love football, but it's not because I love football. It's because I love my son. I don't think this guy understands what loving your child means. For that very reason, we don't even have to bring up the scale for this one, guys. Hi, Dad. You're an asshole. A biggin. You went straight to Uranus with an ASCon 1 reading. Maybe stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about your kid. Just a thought, something to consider. I don't want to take up too much of your time here, but you might think about how big of an asshole you are. Whenever you have a child that plays sports, then you're doing sports with them. That's what it's about. Like, you can't punish your child. And that's what this would be in this case. This 13-year-old boy would be punished if he quit playing sports so he could go spend more time with his dad. He could be with his dad. His dad could bring him to the game. His dad could be there to cheer him on. Those games don't last forever. His dad could be there with him at the end of the game and go take him out for food or ice cream or talk about the game, have the long car ride back, and then they could have their time together. You're talking about a couple of hours. You're not talking about the entire weekend. Maybe a half day, depending on how far away that game is. But this could be something that they do together, and it's something that his son wants to do and his son is into. So yeah, I don't think expecting him to just drop everything just to be in his dad's house is just silly. It's a silly thing, and it punishes the child because the father has this selfish view of this is my time. Oy. Kids are tough, man. Kids are complicated, but we have 5 now, so I'd like to think that I've learned something along the way, but it's tough, man. It is really tough, and I can definitely tell you I've learned a whole lot since our first, who's now 20, coming up on 21, and our youngest is approaching 2. So there's this huge gap in there, and I have a lot of experience that I know what not to do now. And, my oldest Caden, he was never hugely into sports, but he was into a lot of other things. And I know with Brady, who's the youngest boy, I know that because he has this natural ability and he has this desire to do it, that if I do that with him, if I make myself a part of it with him and help encourage him along that path, he's going to be better. He's going to enjoy it more, and we're going to have better quality time together. Now, again, I'm not a natural athlete. I don't have that kind of ability. I have like musical and technical skills, and he has this amazing coordination that I just don't possess. But I'll help him work on drills. I'll watch YouTube videos to figure out what he needs to be working on, and then I'll help be a coach for him as he practices his stuff at home. I don't have the experience, but as a dad, I think that's what you're supposed to do. I think that's the best path that lets you have the best relationship with your child. Because that story was focused on the son, I had the relatable story with our youngest boy, but the girls are the same way. They do cheer, and Kieran just started doing track. It's such a great thing for her to try something new. If you try to help them and help make it an experience with them, you can develop a stronger relationship by encouraging them along that path instead of resenting it because it's inconvenient for you. Yeah, it's inconvenient. Hell, just be glad you don't have a kid doing competition cheer or competition tumbling gymnastic stuff where they travel all over the country to do stuff. Just be glad you're not doing that. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again, and I have another AITA story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for letting my stepdaughter spend the night in jail? Ooh. My wife, 38 female, and I, 39 male, have been married for 6 years. We have 2 kids, 8 and 5. My wife also has a daughter, Mary, 18, from before we got together. Mary is in her senior year of high school and lives with us. She will go see her bio dad 2 weekends a month, but due to her extracurricular activities, it's not always an every other weekend thing. Since bio dad lives about 2 hours away, Mary works out times with her dad for her to visit him, and she drives herself there. This past weekend, my wife took our 2 younger kids to visit her sister, who lives about 3 hours away. Before my wife left, Mary told us that she was going to visit her dad that weekend. I was going to stay home and get some work done on some home projects that had been neglected over the holidays. So on Friday, after everyone else had left, I kicked back and took advantage of the very rare opportunity of having an empty house to myself. I bought a nice bottle of bourbon, visited our local dispensary, and bought myself a nice big steak. Damn! This guy had a me date, and he treated himself quite well. About 3 a.m., I was awoken by a phone call. Any parent knows that a phone call at that time of night is a nightmare situation, so I immediately answered. It was my wife, and she told me that Mary had been arrested and had just called her from our local jail. Apparently, she had lied about going to her dad's and had instead attended a party. The party got busted, and Mary panicked and tried to run. Of course, the cops caught her and arrested her. My wife said that the police would allow me to go get Mary right away instead of keeping her in jail. I told my wife that I had been drinking earlier and was probably not safe to drive, let alone drive to a police station. I told her that I would pick Mary up first thing in the morning. My wife yelled at me for being irresponsible by drinking to that point in case of an emergency. I told her that I was home by myself and everyone else in the family was supposed to be hours away, so I essentially had zero responsibility for anyone besides myself. She eventually calmed down enough to see my side. The next morning, I went and got Mary right when I woke up. When I saw her, it was obvious that she had been crying a lot and didn't say a word to me on the way home. She immediately went to her room when we got home and didn't come out the entire day. The next day, when my wife got home, Mary was still in her room. My wife talked to her and then came and talked to me. She told me that both her and Mary are disappointed in me that I made her spend a night in jail instead of getting her right away. She said that Mary is traumatized by the whole thing. I told her, good, maybe next time she won't lie and do stupid shit. I reminded her that Mary is an adult now, and she has to get used to facing consequences of her actions, and this should be a very clear reminder of what those consequences could be. My wife said that the lesson could have been made without making her spend a night in jail. Okay, whoa, yeah. Okay, was there another option? There was another option. He didn't have to drive to go get her. I don't know where they live, but even in, the smaller town that I live in, you could find an Uber or a Lyft at 3 a.m. He could still get there and pick her up and get her back home, even if he couldn't drive. There was another option. I don't know that makes him an asshole, but we have to acknowledge that there was another way. And I keep putting myself mentally in this position where Ava is Candy Thunder's daughter from her previous marriage, and she's one of my girls. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine that I would let her sit there overnight, and yes, the lesson would ferment, and you communicate that lesson much firmer if you leave her there, but was getting arrested and hauled to jail in the first place enough? And it depends what the track record was. Was this a repetitive issue? Yes, she lied, which makes it worse, obviously, but is this a repetitive issue? How big of a lesson needs to be learned here? I guess that's the question. And OP didn't address any kind of repetitive problems here. This doesn't sound like it was a pattern that had gotten to this point. It sounds like the first time she lied, at least the first time she lied and got busted, he let her learn this harsh lesson. And I don't know that that makes him an asshole, but I think me personally, I would have called an Uber or a Lyft and be like, yeah, I'll get you there. We're going to have an ass chewing on the way home. And when we get home, and yeah, this is not going to be fun, but I think the lesson could have been learned just by getting her ass hauled to jail in the first place. Maybe it's an extremely small market, or maybe he didn't have the option of going to get her and taking an Uber or a Lyft to do that. It just seems like there was another way. So 3 a.m. to what time? Because he went and got her first thing the next morning. So could have been like 5 hours. And by the time he could get there, it would have been at least 1 or 2 hours. So you're talking about the difference of a few hours, but it sounds like that difference of the few hours is what did the additional damage here. If he had hailed an Uber or a Lyft and gone to get her right away, he would have avoided the pain that he's experiencing right now and the disappointment he's feeling from both of them. That was the decision there. It's if he had chose to do that, he would have avoided the pain that he's feeling now, and it would have just been her in trouble. But now he's in trouble too. So I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm just saying there was another option there. And if it was a rural area, then he wouldn't have had that option. But because he didn't say that in here, I think it was likely an option. And in most communities, and my community's smaller, it's an option. So I don't know that it makes him the asshole, but I'm just saying that there was another way. I don't feel like he should be in trouble either, but he is. And that's the point. I mean, he had reasons for making his choices, and it shouldn't be an issue at all, but it could have been avoided. And I think because of that, if we reference the scale here, on 4, it could have been done differently. Not necessarily should, but could have been done differently. And I think because of that, assuming that he's in a market where he did have another option and just didn't even think of it, then it puts him on the 4, which is the least amount of asshole that there can be. He was well within his rights to do what he did and to let her learn a firmer lesson by leaving her there a little bit longer. And yeah, because that lesson stung more than it would have if he went and got her, she's going to hate him a little bit longer. His wife getting pissed at him, I think, is the result of having a blended family and having to get into the balances that are at play there. But I think this is just one of those really tricky cases where, assuming that there was another option that he just didn't see because he didn't want to, he was just immediately like, no, I've been drinking, I've been smoking, and I had a really damn good steak. I ain't going nowhere. There could have been another way. And that extra pain that he now feels could have been avoided. The disappointment that is getting thrown at him from 2 directions could have been avoided. Not should have been, but could have been. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with another AITA story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for confronting my mother-in-law about going behind my back with my kids? I've been with my husband for a total of 15 years now, married for 2. I moved into his family's house with him when we were both 16 and developed a close relationship with his mom. Okay. Wow. So close to the point that I even call her mom. My husband has an older sister and a younger brother. His younger brother is married, but me and his wife never got along. We've had a lot of issues in the past, years ago, and it got really bad to the point where my husband and I moved out of his parents' house and cut off contact with everyone. Fast forward to present time. His brother's wife had tried to make amends with me multiple times over the years, since it's been years and we both have kids now, like buying me and my husband and our kids gifts for Christmas, reaching out via my mother-in-law, etc. But I wasn't having any of it and refused to have contact with her, or allow my kids to have any contact with her, or allow my kids to have any contact with her kids. She has 3. My mother-in-law hates, all caps, that we don't get along, and that every holiday she has to have 2 celebrations since she can't just have everyone together. She tried to stay neutral and not take sides, but it's obvious that she just wants her family to be together again. My 5 female and 1 female daughters stay with my mother-in-law from Monday through Friday while my husband and I work. They're at my mother-in-law's house more than they're at ours. A few days ago, my eldest daughter was talking to me about her week with grandma. She said she and her sister met some new friends this week and started giving me the names of her 3 cousins, the ones we don't speak to. to. Apparently, my mother-in-law went to visit my brother-in-law and his wife and their kids and took my kids with them, since they're with her all the time. Mother-in-law never mentioned this to me at all, and I presume wasn't planning on telling me. So I confronted my mother-in-law and asked why she did this and didn't tell me. She explained that it's been over 10 years and she's sick of keeping her grandkids away from each other and having this divide in the family. She said the fact that her sons don't speak has been killing her for years, and that she doesn't think it's fair that my kids and my brother-in-law's kids have never met due to some stupid drama that happened years ago. I told her I don't want my kids having anything to do with my brother-in-law, his wife, or their kids, and that she needs to respect this or I will find someone else to leave my kids with during the week. She was obviously upset about this. I was talking to my sister-in-law, husband's older sister, and my niece about this, and to my surprise, they think this is kind of an asshole move on my part. They said that they don't think it's fair that my kids won't ever get to build a relationship with their cousins due to some drama that happened over 10 years ago. They also said my mother-in-law is doing my husband and I a favor by watching our kids Monday through Friday without getting paid a cent, and that I shouldn't give her such a hard time. Was this an asshole move on my part? Edit, I couldn't fit an explanation due to the word count, but the drama that occurred between my sister-in-law and I was that she used to constantly talk shit about me and make comments behind my back. One day, I overheard her talking shit about me to my mother-in-law and confronted her. She tried to deny what she said and played that victim. Ever since then, I cut ties with her and my brother-in-law and want nothing to do with them. My mother-in-law has always tried to stay neutral. Okay, first few comments on this story are, you're the asshole. You expect to control your mother-in-law's activities 5 to 7 days a week while she raises your kids. You need to accept that when you have someone else doing that much parenting on your behalf, you won't approve of everything that happens. If you expect that she would never see her other grandchildren on any of the other 250 days a year she raises your children, you're out of your mind. Do find other arrangements because I seriously doubt it will work out for you. This is what I thought. This woman is an entitled ingrate. Also, what do the kids have to do with anything? Very odd, immature behavior. She owes her mother-in-law big time. Mother-in-law did not talk to her about it. Mother-in-law knew it would be a problem. Mother-in-law took her kid somewhere without her knowing about it. No, people don't do this. Yes, mother-in-law is doing too much for OP, but instead of talking with her, and it sounds like they've had this discussion and OP said no, she went behind her back because she thinks she gets to decide things for OP's children. OP is allowed to be upset.
Oh, this one is complicated. Oh my goodness.
So the beef between OP and brother-in-law's wife shouldn't involve the kids. She constantly talked shit and then played the victim and denied it. But rifts can be rifts. And when you go no contact with someone and apply that to your whole family and her wishes were known, grandma knew what the boundaries were and ignored them. So there's two ways to look at this here. There's one way that says that's a bullshit reason to be mad and to say that your kids can never meet their cousins. Get over yourself. That's one way to look at this. The other way to look at this is there were clear boundaries communicated. Grandma ignored those boundaries and took the kids somewhere where she knew they weren't supposed to go. Regardless of the motivating factors for that, there were boundaries that were ignored and they didn't talk about it ahead of time. She took the kids somewhere where she knew their mother didn't want them to go. So on one side of this coin, we've got OP's an asshole because it's a stupid reason to be mad and to not let your kids meet their cousins. On the other side of this coin, we've got it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter why she's mad. She had boundaries and grandma ignored them. This isn't everyone sucks here because punishing your children and punishing your brother-in-law's children because of some petty drama that happened a long time ago and not allowing them to form relationships and making them strangers throughout their entire lives is ill-advised. It's definitely an overreaction, but you had boundaries and grandma ignored those. Grandma straight up ignored the boundaries that she very well knew existed there. She didn't tell you about it because she knew you'd be mad about it. I don't know how she thought you weren't going to find out about it, or she just took the come what may path and this is where you're at. But everyone does suck here. Everybody sucks. At what level does everyone suck? This will be an interesting one. Okay, so this would be the part where for enforcing this family divide in a very Targaryen style on her children, forcing her mother-in-law to comply with this, let's go ahead and say OP here is an ascon too. Definitely should not have done that. Shouldn't punish your kids for some petty drama that happened between you and their mom. You're causing a generational divide now. Does the punishment fit that crime? Not really. Now, where's grandma? For knowing what the boundaries were and clearly ignoring them. She has some noble motivating factors for doing what she did, but it doesn't matter. She took someone else's kids somewhere they're not supposed to be, and she knew damn well that was the case. Ignored those boundaries. She is a 2 as well. We've got a whole family of 2s here. Everybody just screwing everybody over here. Everybody. Man, it's not a family reunion or a family event you want to be a part of, is it? I understand from grandma's point of view, having to do 2 Christmases, 2 Thanksgivings, 2 Easters, like everything. It would be so aggravating, especially if you were watching one of those sets of kids Monday through Friday during the day. That would be very aggravating, but she needs to keep advocating and advocating and advocating to try to get this changed. She can't just go rogue. We got a rogue grandma. She can advocate, but she has to communicate that. Clearly ignoring the boundaries and doing something that she knew was wrong is shocking wrong. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with another AITA story for you, and you better buckle up for this one because it's a whopper. Am I the astronaut for leaving my baby shower early and causing a scene? My 32 female husband of 7 years, 32 male, and I are pregnant. We have 1 previous child, Anne, 6 female, fake name, who has epilepsy. She has had 1 seizure before, relevant later in the story. To be honest, my mother-in-law is horrible. She gives backhanded compliments, insults me in my looks, and always tries to set my husband up with other people. Tries to set your husband up with other people? What? That's not cool, lady. The last time we went to her place, she said she could make my husband a Tinder account or set him up with some girl who is the daughter of mother-in-law's best friend. My husband has told her to stop but doesn't do anything else. Newsflash, she doesn't stop. You guys are married and she's still doing this shit? And you still go see her? He still talks to her? You still have to see her and talk to her? Okay, let's go ahead and fly this flag now. When sending invites to my baby shower, I told my husband I didn't want my mother-in-law there. He told me, since you're not letting my own mother be in the room with you when you're giving birth, you have to invite her to this. You should be grateful that you got to a baby shower at all. Also, he wouldn't be at the baby shower as he has something at work. At the baby shower, I was telling everyone how our baby was once again a girl. My mother-in-law then decided to say, "Wow, another girl. Let's hope she's not like her sister." I asked what she meant by that, and she said, "We don't need any other diseases in the family. Imagine seeing a newborn baby drop to the floor and chick everywhere. It's embarrassing." What? I know you all feel just like I do right now. This lady just strapped the rocket to her back and went straight to ASCon 1. I have a feeling she's going to be staying there. She may be doing some laps. This may be like her 13th mission to ASCon 1. At first I was honestly confused as she clearly had zero idea what she is talking about. But then the pregnancy hormones really kicked in and I started crying hysterically. I left my friend's house and my mother drove me home. Once I got home, I saw my husband there. I didn't know why he was home and not at work, but I just didn't stop crying. He said, "Where are all the gifts? You do realize how expensive baby things can be." I honestly couldn't believe that he said that of all things, so I decided to lock myself in our bedroom. About 10 minutes later, he tells me he got a text from his mother explaining what happened. He told me that I caused a scene and should be happy I got to meet up with some friends today. I tried explaining how wrong what she said was and how she insulted our daughter and unborn baby. He said, "Well, Anne's epilepsy medication isn't cheap, so I see why she said what she said. You just interpreted it wrong. Apologize to my mother." Dude, no! I packed a bag and called my mother to pick me up. I'm currently at her place and she's picking Anne up from school. My husband and his family keep blowing up my phone and calling me a drama queen, along with other hateful names, so I need to ask, am I the asshole? Edit! Wow, this blew up. I woke up to 700 new notifications, so thank you for all the feedback. Just wanted to let you all know that I am meeting up with my husband later today and we will discuss things. I will be showing him this post in your comments. Also, thank you all for the kind messages and the awards too. However, I don't know what they do, LOL. Can someone please explain them to me? Thanks. See you soon. All of you were talking about how abusive my husband is. I guess I never realized it was abuse just because it wasn't physical. I don't know why I had that mindset, but I did. I sat him down and started reading, "Your mother-in-law is horrible. Divorce this man. Anne doesn't deserve this, etc." I explained to him that I wanted a divorce. We were in a public cafe, so I knew there was no way he'd physically hurt me. That's the only reason? This was how the conversation went after I said I wanted a divorce. Husband: "So just because a few strangers on the internet told you to do something, you're going to do it?" Me: "It's not a few, it's thousands." Husband: "It doesn't matter who it is. You don't even know them." Me: "Well, you don't know the chefs in the restaurant, yet you trust them to cook your food." Husband: "Shut the f*** up." Me: "It's not my fault. All you do is run to mommy and choose her over your daughter." Husband: "I don't give a f*** about you or your opinion, you bitch. Me. Huh. Okay. After that, he stormed out of the cafe. Wow. Okay. Yep. Told you. Gonna be heavy. And we're not done. I think y'all would be glad to know that I emptied our joint bank accounts and took any valuables. Y'all might think, oh, that's a happy ending to the story, but there's way more. So my father-in-law contacted me, which is weird. We only talk at family gatherings and whatnot, and told me he apologizes on behalf of his wife's actions. He told me that she never liked me because I stole him away from someone called Melissa. Apparently my husband and her were together during college, but she cheated on him. Mother-in-law, however, still loved her like a daughter. Turns out all these years we've been together, he's been cheating on me with Melissa. Mother-in-law knew, father-in-law knew, everyone knew. It explains a lot, like why he wasn't at work that day. What actually happened was Melissa came over to our house and they had sex in my own bed! During your baby shower? Brozo had his side chick come over and had sex with her in your bed. Dude. I was disgusted hearing it. I'm not sure how, but she must have left before I came home. So basically, Melissa told mother-in-law and mother-in-law told father-in-law. Father-in-law said he regretted not telling me sooner and kept apologizing over and over again. I was shocked and started crying. I thanked him for telling me and said I just needed some space. However, he also told me that mother-in-law was telling a different story to what happened on that day. None of my soon-to-be ex-husband's family was there, so they didn't know what happened. And that's why everyone was telling me to apologize to my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law told them that I started yelling at her for wearing a better dress than me on my special day, and I threw drinks and food on her. She made a mess on her dress previously, so I'm guessing that's what she used as evidence, LOL. Father-in-law said, the woman really loves herself. In a couple of days, I can guarantee you we'll have another picture of herself hanging in our living room. I laughed and said goodbye. I've also gotten a lawyer to sort out some divorce stuff. I'll give y'all another update soon. Edit. Second update is under my profile. Edit. To the people saying the story is fake, go ahead and believe that. Nothing I can say will change your mind, so your opinion is fair. However, I don't believe you need to be as rude as you were because I'm going through a bit of a struggle. Thank you. Wow, apparently that was a thing on Reddit. So I already did one update and now I'm doing the second one here, which I think is what you're supposed to do, question mark, question mark. So a lot has happened. Apparently, after my ex left the cafe, he went to a bar and got really drunk. He ended up assaulting the bartender and then resisting arrest and hitting an officer once the police came. So he had the audacity to try to get me to bail him out and I just laughed and hung up. So we obviously called mommy and she came to the rescue. Hopefully I can use that against him because I will be fighting for full custody. My friend works in the legal sector, so she's helping me out with that and explaining it all to me. Thank you once again to everyone who interacted with my post whatsoever, positive or negative feedback. I'm grateful for it. I also got a lot of good advice. Anne has been asking a lot of questions still, so I'm going to be explaining everything to her tonight. She's pretty mature for her age, but I'm just worried that this might really affect her, especially since she's so young. This shit really happens to people? Yeah, I mean, this isn't even an ascon scale thing. Like they didn't just break the scale. They waited till the ascon scale went to its freaking baby shower and then had 10 other ascon scales come over and slept with them in their bed. That's how far around mother-in-law and her babe are looping the freaking asconaut universe here. I don't know of any word other than evil that you can use to describe a person like him and like his mommy. How could you do this to someone, period, but in particular, do this to someone who was carrying your child? How can you say these things? How can you do these things? This is beyond narcissism, right? This is psychopathic or sociopathic behavior. This is insane. And now she has 2 children with him. And obviously, I mean, you're going to love your kids and you've got your family and it's going to be you girls for a while and you're going to grow that and try to make the best of that. But you know, there's a part of her that's got to be looking back and being like, how did I not see this? And has to be kicking herself for it. But all these freaking people knew and didn't tell her. Everyone in her world sucks. And not just sucks, but ascon 1 times a bajillion sucks. Sounds like that was the case. At least on his side, everyone connected to him, even father-in-law, because he knew for so long. He knew for so long and just didn't speak up until it got to this crazy freaking point that he recognized was insane. But damn, when you see someone being wronged like that and you don't step in, I think you're the asshole too. If you have the ability to change it and you don't, you're the asshole. If you're the one inflicting the damage, you're the asshole. If you're the one just going along with it, you're the asshole. If you're the mistress who knows that his wife, who he already has one child with, is at a baby shower and you come over to have sex with him, you're the asshole. How many assholes can be present in one person's life at the same time? Like, she's testing the limits here. And how horrible to go through this when you're pregnant. Good God, man. I'm immensely sorry for this woman. However, now she knows. Now she knows, and he was dumb enough and self-absorbed enough to think that he can just say or do whatever the he wants and not get in trouble for it. And I wonder where he learned that, maybe from his batshit crazy mommy. So I don't foresee that she's going to have a hard time achieving full custody here, because he's going to think that he doesn't have to play by the rules, and he's going to screw himself in that process. And she's going to get to build a life, a happy life now, because she's not going to be dealing with this all the time. It just sucks that she had to go through it at all in the first place. Man, you think you got it bad. Then you hear a story like this. Whew, damn. Hey there again, it's Dusty Thunder with another AITA story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for calling the police on my soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law? It's another mother-in-law story.
And she's calling the police on her.
I, 27 female, split from my soon-to-be ex-husband, 27 male, 3 months ago on the day our son was born. Oh, shit. This is because I'm ginger. My husband is blonde, but our baby came out with dark hair. He freaked out in the delivery room, and his behavior got him kicked out of the hospital. I had to beg him to do a paternity test, and he finally agreed after a month, and it proved that I didn't cheat. We have been together since we were 13, so I was devastated, and all I wanted was him back. But I've come to my senses and decided that someone who believes that school-level Punnett squares, the Punnett square is a table in which all possible outcomes for a genetic cross between two individuals with known genotypes are given, are the be-all and end-all of biological inheritance, is not the type of person I want to be with. I was also treated like crap by everyone but my older brother Alex while we were there waiting for the results because they all thought I had cheated. It was a horrible experience, and as a result, I've lost many friends and family members. Since the results came back, my ex has been begging me to get back with him. I moved in with Alex after we split, and he comes almost every day to beg me to get back with him. My in-laws have also been harassing me too, especially my mother-in-law, who has come over 4 times in the past week asking me to forgive her son and to let God back into my heart. I used to be a Christian, and so are all my in-laws and my family, but how I was treated when my baby was born made me lose faith fast. The whole church community treated me like trash during this whole ordeal, and it made me want nothing to do with them anymore, and I don't want to raise my son in that sort of community. Yesterday, my mother-in-law turned up to Alex's when he wasn't there, and she had the pastor from the church I used to attend with them. They practically forced their way in, and I was being berated like a child for not forgiving my ex's lapse in judgment. The pastor basically sat there and said I would be going to hell if I didn't take my ex back. I excused myself to use the bathroom and called the police. Pastor and mother-in-law were escorted out. Now I'm being harassed on social media and being called and texted by literally everyone that knows both me and my ex and his family. They're calling me the asshole for going nuclear and calling the police on 2 people who weren't being threatening, and they're demanding that I apologize immediately. I'm starting to feel bad now because I know they care in their own twisted way, and I shouldn't have gone nuclear on them. Am I the asshole?
So if you made a movie and it was like Jerry Springer directing Children of the Corn or something like that, I feel like this is where you would end up.
The brother's the one person who stood by your side this whole time. This is almost to the point where, yeah, obviously the group of people, anyone who turned on her during this time and just made an assumption, sorry, you done showed your true self. And mother-in-law showing up with the pastor, forcing themselves into the house and trying to perform an exorcism, not performing an exorcism, but being as pushy as they were being was obviously not the right way to go. I don't know that she didn't have to call the police on them. She could have asked them to leave, but she's here with her infant son, and 2 people who she doesn't want there showed up there, and I'm assuming will not leave, and she's asked them to leave. So if that's the case, then she had every right to call and ask for help and ask them to be escorted out. Also, there's no apology here. They aren't showing up like, we're so sorry that we misjudged, that we jumped to conclusions. We're terrible people. They're just like, you're going to hell. Come on, man. They know that's not the right thing. They're just trying to use whatever they think will work to get their way. It shouldn't work. And she shouldn't go back to this brozo because he took their entire relationship. They're 27 now. They've been together since they were 13. For 14 years, they had been together. The baby comes out with dark hair and he loses his shit and accuses her of cheating. Dude, I wonder if there was like some thought that happened before he lost his shit when Ape got kicked out of the hospital. I wonder if he thought about what he was about to do first, or if he just saw red. Or I guess he didn't see red. That's the problem. I couldn't not go there. I couldn't. It was just teed up. It was just teed up perfectly. I had to swing. He didn't see red. He saw dark hair. But he had to think about this for a second and think about the possible outcomes of what he was about to do. He had to at least run through some options here, or maybe that's uncommon, but before doing something stupid, I'd like to think about what could happen. At least think, where could this lead? And he's gotten himself in a position now where he's definitely destroyed his relationship. He's showed her what his true feelings about her are, or what his true level of respect for her is. And it's much lower than she thought it was and what she had for him. And now the family and the community is trying to use religion to just make it all go away. And that's the problem. We're not getting into a religious discussion here, but they are using and abusing religion to try to make something go away that is not okay. And it is a complete misuse of this. It is a complete misuse of the relationships. No one is taking accountability. No one is apologizing. Her husband, soon to be ex-husband, is begging that she take him back, but never once in here do I hear that he apologized. He's just begging for her to take him back. There would have to be groveling forever for that to even be a possibility. And he would have to lead the charge for everyone who he convinced that she was a cheater to grovel as well, if he wanted any chance at this happening. Instead, what happened was, probably with his involvement, mother-in-law shows up with a pastor. Is that the play? Is that the play? The person you've been with for 13 years, you want to show up with a pastor and basically make her feel like she's going to go to hell if she doesn't take you back. Is that the play? Dude, come on. Come on, man. That is not the play. There were so many other options there. And maybe he screwed himself, and he felt like that was the only choice he had left. But if that's the only choice you feel like you have left, accept defeat. Don't make it worse for yourself. There are things worse than defeat. It's this.